Chainsaw Man takes place in a world where devils, based on people's fears, come out and attack people and eat them, and exists in the aftermath of the gun devil killing 1.2 million people. It's centered around a teenager named Denji, who ends up becoming a devil hunter contracted to the chainsaw devil, allowing him to turn himself into a sort of bipedal chainsaw man, who joins the devil hunters so that he can pay off the debts he's been saddled with and have sex with a hot dominatrix. The action scenes in this show are pretty good, and it's fun to see the different creative powers and abilities that can be come up with due to the interesting natures of devils. So, for example, the Eternity Devil can basically exist infinitely and can, take up the size of an entire building and, loop time around itself. But there's also, a Katana Devil who has the classic teleport behind you, you've already been cut attack, just because of how people are afraid of katanas in Eternities. And so the abilities being based off of fear adds a really unique and cool set of abilities to the fight scenes, although they're not necessarily cerebral battles, more as try harder and try not to die. The nature of devils being based off of fears, and each fear spawning a new devil, introduces a lot of interesting ideas and kind of sparks the imagination about the amount of devils and what kind of devils could be out there. The characters in the show are fairly interesting, and it is enjoyable to watch their interactions with each other, although I'm not necessarily sure if I like anyone outside of Kobani. I think there really is only one character I come away actually liking. The bigger complaint I have about this show is I think it's a bit too pessimistic and mean-spirited for me. This is the kind of show where you feel like anyone could die at any moment, but it's also the sort of story that will introduce a bunch of characters, give you vagaries about them so you get to know them, and then it'll kill them off in the next episode. And I've been critical about this rapid anyone can die kind of thing before, specifically when you know that you're going to enter a show with a high death total, if only because if you kill too many characters, then the deaths start having any impact. And just from season 1, I kind of get the feeling that Chainsaw Man will continue to go in that direction, where the deaths stop meaning anything just because I feel like it's a gimmick they're going to overdo. Even in this season, I was already starting to feel a little jaded towards the deaths. It's not necessarily a problem with the show in that it's a flaw, but the mean-spiritedness and sort of sociopathic behaviors ascribed to the main characters does kind of turn me off. It's more of a me thing than a show thing, but it does definitely affect my enjoyment. Another thing that I'm not particularly fond of with Chainsaw Man is the animation style. It seems to use a heavy amount of 3D that they almost seem to draw over the top of. So it kind of gets this sort of rodeo scope kind of thing going on, and I'm just not a fan of the aesthetics. I will say some episodes look better than others, some scenes look totally fine, and eventually you do kind of stop noticing, but when you do notice, it's kind of really distracting to have these ultra realistic backgrounds with much more carefully done 2D animated characters. The contrast is not flattering. Not really linked to a review itself, but I am actually surprised at the popularity Chainsaw Man has, although I understand that a lot of it comes later in the series. But Chainsaw Man definitely strikes me as yet another series in the cycle of popular, dark, edgy anime that comes out that gets a good acclaim when it's actually being released, but in 2 to 3 years after it comes out or stops airing, everyone's going to turn on it, and it's not really going to get the praise it did upon release. It happens a bunch. It happened to Tokyo Ghoul, it happened to Brian Nicky, it happened to Elfen Lied, and it'll probably happen to Chainsaw Man. Twitch and Discord in the description. I've been Sacrobolic, your envoy of hope. Bye-bye!